guy is sprinting home, trying to escape the rain as fast as possible. But the moment he bursts inside the building, he freezes. Standing right in front of him is a strange girl. She looks off. Not just unusual, but completely out of place. She appeared so suddenly that he actually drops his keys on the floor. For a second, he's caught off guard, but then he quickly pulls himself together and brushes it off. Just another cosplayer, he thinks. So he picks up his keys and starts heading up the stairs like nothing happened. But then the girl suddenly jumps back as far away from him as she can, like she's terrified of him. Despite this, he shakes off his thoughts and continues up the stairs, convinced she's just a dedicated cosplayer. Before he can step into his room, the woman calls out to him from behind, telling him to hold up. Juing pauses, turns back, and casually mentions that this is where he lives. The girl looks a bit spooked and quickly steps back, keeping a cautious distance. Seeing her reaction, he starts feeling a tad embarrassed, wondering if he looks so rough that even a girl finds him a random street molester. Anyway, he heads into his room. He takes a quick peek outside before closing the door, only to find her still lingering outside. After shutting the door, he takes off his soaked slippers and shirt, and after taking a steamy bath, he grabs a can of cola and also picks up the bag of cat food, calling out to his kitty, Melon. Right on cue, the little furball shows up with a sparkle in her eyes and eagerly digs into her meal. Meanwhile, our hero starts chugging down that refreshing cola as well, relishing that fizzy madness with every gulp. He takes another glance outside and sees that the rain shows no signs of simmering down. After a moment, he decides to check through the peephole in his door, and surprisingly, the girl isn't there anymore. While opening the door cautiously, he wonders if she's left, but as soon as his gate is wide enough, she appears right before his doorsteps. Feeling a bit awkward, he offers her an umbrella or assistance getting home if it's not too far. However, the girl doesn't respond to either option and instead asks where they are. Shuching points out that they're in his neighborhood on Baywong Road. The girl goes silent for a moment, unsure of what to expect. Then she asks who our hero might be. Well, that's another simple question our hero doesn't have a clue how to answer. So with a bit of confusion, he lets her know that he's just some random guy. He then tries to offer her his umbrella, but she just stares at this ordinary umbrella like this is some alien thing. After a moment of silence, she introduces herself as part of the Yan clan and confesses she has no idea how she ended up here. Her admission leaves our hero scratching his head, wondering if she's just a girl caught up in some cosplay fantasy. He sighs out of exhaustion and motions for her to come inside while he tries to call for help. As he dials Guardo's number, the woman's eyes lock onto the TV. An ad starts playing, and without hesitation, she slices the TV with her blade. Her face goes white as if she's seen some kind of dark magic that needs immediate vanquishing. The boy stands there stunned while the guard asks about the weird noises in the background. The girl turns to him with her bloodshot eyes, giving him an intense glare. Once our clueless hero is not in the position to utter a single word, the guard abruptly hangs up, thinking maybe our hero is tied up with something urgent. Shuing scratches his head, looking puzzled, and asks her where she came from. Meanwhile, the lady wants to know if the people inside the weird glass thing are dead, and she's curious about the folks he was chatting with on his brick. Seeing her those straw sandals she is wearing, the boy wonders if this quirky lady could even afford to replace the fancy TV she just sliced. Finally, he raises his hand in a calming gesture, reassuring her that he's a decent guy and suggests she puts her sword down. After she retrieves her sword from the TV, the boy asks her name and where she's from. She promptly replies her name is Zhang Hai, and she's a disciple of the Yang clan. He compliments her for coming up with such a cool name and jokes if her Yang clan is loaded enough with cash to compensate him for his broken TV. The lady gets confused and asks how he doesn't know someone as prestigious as the Guyan clan. The boy simply shakes his head, admitting he's never heard of them. Her silence speaks volumes, as if she's offended by this guy who doesn't even recognize her clan. Seeing her tense expression, the boy reassures her again that he means well and gives her the green light to ask any questions she wants. The lady timidly admits she just wants to find her way back to the Yang clan. Our hero, still clueless about where this Yang clan might be, reminds her that they're in the city of Jiangcheng and asks if she knows it. The woman stays silent, and now our clueless hero is starting to rub his head in frustration because he really doesn't want to entertain the idea that she might actually be from ancient times. So he asks her, who is her emperor? But the puzzled lady insists that her emperor is one everyone should know about, which leaves our hero scratching his head at her cryptic response. She stares at him in confusion, wondering why he doesn't know about the emperor. She then asks our hero if it's the 16th year of Kaiwan. Her answer shocks him, prompting him to pause and immediately start scrolling through his phone for information. He's amazed to find out that in the 16th year of Kaiwan, it was during the reign of the 7th emperor of the Tang dynasty, known for the longest reign in the dynasty's history. To confirm if she's truly from the past, he asks if she knows Liangji and mentions other famous figures from that era. The lady lights up with joy to realize he knows these names and eagerly asks where she can find them. With an anxious smirk, Shuqing jokingly tells her she might find them in a Chinese mobile game. Suddenly, a delivery man calls from the doorstep, and the lady instantly grabs her sword to confront the intruder. The boy rushes over, urging her to calm down because it's just someone delivering food, not a threat. Lady Zhang asks if the man is a servant, but our hero explains, this man is just here with a food delivery. As he accepts the food, the lady watches in confusion and amazement at this whole process of this takeout. The boy then asks if she's hungry and wants to eat something, but the girl nervously declines. Standing by the door, she asks him why everyone she's seen here has short hair, wondering if they're all exiles. Our hero reassures her that's not the case, but then he starts losing his and fears she might have already slaughtered someone when she first arrived here and saw those people. She quickly assures him she was just hiding in the dark. After that reassurance, he gladly proceeds to take a bite of his burger. But then the girl creeps over his face once again, asking about the short hair once more. With a mouthful, he explains it's just a local style, nothing special. Her eyes fixate on the juicy wrap filled with meat and veggies. She can hardly resist the temptation, but she snaps herself out of it and declines eating again. He suggests she quench her thirst with the soda if she does not want to eat anything, telling her it's super sweet and probably unlike anything she's ever had before. Lady John gets angry, feeling insulted by his comment, and accuses him of looking down on her. Our hero quickly clarifies that he was just trying to offer her something to eat. As their argument heats up, they start bickering like an old married couple. In the midst of their squabble, our hero accidentally knocks over his can of Coke, spilling it all over the place. The fizzy drink starts bubbling on the floor. Seeing the strange liquid spread, the girl stares at him in disbelief, thinking he was trying to force her to consume this weird, black, and disgusting substance. The poor guy sweats nervously, insisting that it's not poisonous and attempting to explain the concept of a carbonated drink. But these modern concepts make no sense to the girl from ancient times. In a fit of rage, she pins our hero down and glares at him with fiery eyes before she can slice his head off. Shortly after, she calms down a bit when he proves the drink isn't poisoned by chugging himself. The girl finally gets it, and our hero tells her to stop drawing her sword every time, mentioning how she freaked out his cat, Melon. He then looks at her and realizes there are only 3 options to get rid of her. Option 1, trick her into going outside and let her freeze or starve, but he knows she'd end up on the news. Option 2, call the cops, but she might go berserk and make a mess for him by killing those officers. And just thinking about it gives him the creeps. The third option is to keep an eye on her. Since she's from ancient times, he might learn some neat stuff from her, but he's also worried she might chop him in half if she keeps brandishing her sword. Instead of regretting it later, he decides to take her in and see how things go. With that settled, he offers her the burger. Although she's clearly tempted by the tantalizing food before her, she stubbornly looks away and asks him what exactly this thing is that he's holding. Deciding to prove it's not poisonous, he takes the first bite and she agrees, eagerly telling him to go ahead. As he eats, the lady watches him closely, and the boy realizes this amount of food might not be enough for her. So he decides to make a rice bowl instead, thinking her ancient stomach might not handle the burger well. It seems he was just making excuses to eat the burger himself. Seeing him finish it off completely annoys the lady to no end. He gestures for her to sit down, but she cautiously checks the seat by pressing her hand against it before sitting down cautiously. Let's face it, she can't trust this strange guy completely, even though he did offer her his umbrella. His room is filled with oddities, and he eats weird stuff too. So she decides to remain vigilant and careful. She asks about this place again, and our hero reminds her it's Yongcheng City. The lady then asks if he knows how she can return home. This time, our hero panics when he sees her reaching for her sword again and insists she puts it down before he answers. Once the sword is out of sight, he somberly reveals to her that she might not be able to return because they are really far from her home. The girl perks up at this and immediately asks how far away they are. Our hero reluctantly tells her it's almost 1,200 years away. The girl asks what he means by 1,200 years. So he explains that it's been that long since she came from her time. Famous folks like Li Yang Yu Huan, and Lu Shan, all ancient history now, dead and gone for over 1,000 years. She's totally shocked by this news and straight up calls him a liar. But the boy tells her to just look around. Nothing's the same. This world runs on its own rules now. It could be cool if you get the hang of it, but also risky. She's still not buying it and raises her sword to his face. He calmly reminds her that waving swords around is against the law, and she better learn the rules fast. The woman asks why he's bothering to help her out. The boy explains it's kind of like how he rescued his fat cat, Melon, from the tough outside world. He just felt like he had to help. But our hero needs to pick his words better because she gets ticked off again, thinking he's comparing her to a cat. After a bit of thinking, she figures he's not such a bad guy since he let her in and offered food. So she asks him again why he bothered helping her. Our hero says meeting a quirky ancient girl like her isn't something he encounters every day, and he's genuinely curious about her. He adds that she'd probably be curious too if their roles were reversed. The lady quickly shuts that down, saying if someone as weird as our hero showed up in her era, the chief would have chopped him down right away. The guy reminds her that this era is all about peace and love. He tells her that as long as she's living here, she better learn to follow the law, never hurt people, and not destroy anyone's belongings. With that clear, he lets her choose whether she wants his help or prefers to wander outside. Before turning away, he reminds her one last time not to hurt civilians or she'll get arrested. The lady finds herself in a tight spot, not knowing what to do since she can't even leave this place. The boy then says if she wants to stay, he can order her some food, but she has to give up her sword because he doesn't want to get arrested either. With no other options, she reluctantly throws her sword down. With that settled, he starts brainstorming what to order for her that won't be too foreign for her. He briefly considers ordering some mooncakes, but then decides to get her some rice and buns instead. He tells her to take a shower while they wait for her food to arrive. The woman, clueless, asks where she's supposed to bathe. Our hero leads her into the bathroom, which leaves her amazed at the sight. He tells her not to be too surprised because there are many more surprises to come and reassures her not to be afraid as everything here is harmless. For instance, he shows her the shower and she looks at it curiously like a puppy. She tries it out herself and our hero can't resist capturing her curiosity on his phone. He then introduces her to bath shampoo and the concept of toilet. Afterwards, he waits outside while she showers. He rummages through his stuff, trying to find something suitable for her to wear. Inadvertently, he opens the bath door while attempting to knock, realizing she doesn't even know how to lock it. Nevertheless, he informs her he doesn't have any women's clothes, so she'll have to wait for proper clothing. He decides to teach her how to lock the door in the meantime. Shortly after, he is kicked outside, but the lady is now enjoying her first shower in this new world. She even tries tasting the shampoo bubbles, but ends up spitting it away. Meanwhile, our hero is questioning if all of this is actually real. He picks up her sword and closely examines the gleaming blade, deciding to have an expert check if it's authentic or not. The girl emerges from her bath in her new outfit, and while our hero is busy with something else, she asks what he's writing. He doesn't respond immediately, but eventually hands her the paper. It lists out current issues that need addressing, and she starts staring at it intently. There are everyday products written down which she is supposed to utilize in her daily life. She then complains about her current clothes, to which the boy says she looks pretty, and clarifies that he's not hitting on her. He's just giving a compliment like people usually do when someone looks good. But still, she sternly tells him to lay off any flirtatious remarks. Suddenly, he notices her straw slippers and tells her to put them away, promising to get her new ones tomorrow. While he's admiring her cuteness, a sudden knock on the door scares the lady, but Shuqing reassures her it's just a delivery boy with food. Reflecting on it, he can't help but compare her to a wild cat, always attentive and ready to attack. After taking the food out of the plastic bag, he hands it to her. That is when Lady Zhang remembers something her vice captain used to say, that if someone is helping you for free, they must have ulterior motives. Hearing this, Shuqing starts crying, but then she smiles and tells him that she believes he's actually a good person. In a few moments, once she finishes her food, Shuqing decides to have a chat with the girl. He starts by letting her know that she's not in the primitive era anymore and needs to adjust her beliefs accordingly. He tells her that if she were to rely on her sword for survival and ends up killing him, she wouldn't last more than a week before running out of food. So he advises her to stop playing around with the sword and focus on other things like using the TV for entertainment. He also points out that the smartphone can be quite useful too. Basically, he's trying to reassure her that she's perfectly safe here and no one is going to harm her. Hearing this, the girl nods in acknowledgement, and our hero lets out a sigh of relief. But when it comes to the outside world, things get complicated. He explains that while this is a peaceful world, it could be dangerous for her. Curious, Lady Zhang asks why that is, and our hero explains that she might end up accidentally hurting someone. For instance, if she strolled into a royal castle with her sword drawn, they'd likely throw her in jail. It's the same deal out there in this world as well. Not only that, he also explains the concept of an identity card to her, warning that she needs to watch out for cops who might ask to see it. So the first thing Shuqing wants to do is make her an ID card. Otherwise, she's going to stick out like a sore thumb wherever she goes, because she doesn't belong here. After hearing about the ID card, the lady asks if she's like some kind of refugee here. Shuing tells her it's actually worse because the consequences are pretty serious if she gets caught. The lady gets freaked out, but Zhu Qing tries to calm her down, promising to help her out because meeting someone from 1200 years ago isn't exactly an everyday thing. Still, the lady remains hesitant, not sure if she can trust him and just wanting to go back home, to which the boy points out that it won't be easy for him to help her in her current situation, and their best shot is for her to cooperate as much as possible. After a while, the lady reluctantly agrees to cooperate and asks what she should do first. Shuing wastes no time and tells her straight up, first off, never pull out that sword again. As they settle into a moment of quiet, the girl suddenly looks around and asks Shu Qing where his wife is because she wants someone to gossip with. But the poor guy, as much as he hates to admit it, says, I'm actually unmarried. It's quite a surprise for the lady, and a sudden silence fills the room. Shu Qing quickly reassures her that it's normal not to be married at his age and tells her to make herself comfortable in the spare room he has for her. She nods quietly and follows him as he shows her the new room she'll be staying in. Inside the room, there's a lot of stuff, but Shu Qing quickly tidies everything up, making enough space for one person snugly. It's clear the lady isn't exactly thrilled about staying in this place, especially with a weirdo like him. However, Shuing grabs some spare blankets and neatly arranges them on her new bed, urging her to rest. He understands she must be feeling confused, and he hopes that when they wake up tomorrow, it'll all feel like they were in a dream. He proceeds to leave the room, and before he does, he introduces himself as Shuing, wishes her good night, and leaves her alone in her room. The lady first places her sword back and then sits on her cozy bed. Once midnight strikes, Shuing finds himself awake, feeling a bit restless while reflecting on the entire hectic day. First off, he got rejected in job interviews, and when he came back, it started raining. Somehow he managed to reach home and then ended up meeting a girl who draws her sword every time she feels like it. But then he says, scratch this, and goes to sleep because there's a lot of stuff to handle tomorrow. When the next day rolls around, he opens his eyes and picks up his phone to find that it's already 10 o'clock. He jolts awake in his bed, remembering the nut job lady. He immediately starts looking around, and when he sees her sitting there, he finally realizes that he wasn't dreaming after all. He gathers himself and wishes her a good morning, asking why she woke up so early, only for her to remind him it's almost noon. He then asks if she's hungry, to which she responds affirmatively, albeit a little. She, the stars, looking for something in her chest, and hurriedly goes back to her room, returning with 2 silver pieces, telling him he can buy food with them. Shu Qing is amazed to see the silver in his hands, though he knows silver doesn't fetch much. However, he thinks if she has any gold, he could use that to get cash and possibly help her obtain an ID card. The girl shows another piece of stone, but Shu Qing quickly tells her to keep it because she can't go outside yet. He looks at her closely, estimating her height and width, and promises to buy her some clothes later, along with bringing back some food. Afterwards, he heads to the bathroom, brushes his teeth, and freshens up. Then he heads to the shopping center to pick out some suitable clothes for her. After looking at several options, his eyes settle on a particular dress and tells the attendant that he'll take that one as well. It seems like he spotted some bras in the distance, but couldn't bring himself to enter that section alone. After an hour of shopping, he finally finishes and looks at the stuff he bought, feeling embarrassed about holding women's cosmetics. He then heads to the bookstore, grabs some books, and makes his way back to his apartment through the bustling city. Upon reaching the building entrance, the guard asks him about his shopping trip, and our guy tries to hide all the feminine stuff he's carrying. The guard also asks about the phone call from yesterday, and he makes up an excuse, saying he dialed the wrong number accidentally. Before he heads off, the guard warns him to be cautious due to recent thefts in the area. He nods and assures the guard he'll remember. Once he's back in his apartment, he finds the lady standing there with her sword almost drawn, ready to chop off any intruders. The boy assures her she's safe and hands over the food box, mentioning he's also brought some essentials. Suddenly, something clicks in his mind. He looks at her with curiosity and she asks what's on his mind. He awkwardly wonders aloud if she should be thanking him and seeing him as some kind of young hero or a decent guy or something like that. The lady, not quite getting where he's coming from, thanks him anyway. It seems like it might take a while for her to figure out what this weirdo is always thinking. They dig into the food and the lady devour her meal like a wild animal, which surprises our hero given the elegant image he had of women from her era. Nonetheless, he's pleased to see her enjoying herself. After they finish eating, he lays out the clothes he bought, showing her the new dresses and shoes. He keeps digging around for more stuff, and meanwhile, the girl spots the bra he got for her. The guy freaks out like his soul might jump out of his virgin body and quickly tells her to keep that thing down and promises to send her a video on how to use the bra to cover up her headlights. Feeling embarrassed, he dumps all the stuff he bought and tells her to figure it out herself. Seems like he's picked up quite a few interesting items, though. Along with that, he's brought some books to help her understand this world and its culture better. He's even planning to teach her how to use a computer so she can learn on her own. Seeing her looking tired and restless, he suggests she get plenty of sleep before they can figure out their next move. But then she asks about his status in this world. Hearing this, he rethinks things and admits he's a graduate student still on the job hunt. It's funny how, despite being unemployed, he still manages to splash out on fancy clothes and cosmetics. So even the lady starts to think he's some rich kid, but our hero quickly shuts that down, saying he's from a poor background. Then she starts wondering if he might be a landlord or something. Nonetheless, she dives into her books. But when she sees those old pictures from her era, tears well up in her eyes as she thinks about how she can get back home. The boy reminds her he has no clue how to get her there, but asks her how she ended up here. The lady reveals she was chasing a small thief in heavy rain, got lost in the middle of the forest, and wandered around until she spotted these tall houses. Seems like this guy is clueless about how to get her home, but he cleverly changes the subject, telling her she's got to survive in this world before going back. Then, without skipping a beat, he asks about her military ranking and martial arts skills. You see, the reason this guy was asking in the first place was because he was interested in her martial arts skills to begin with, and the lady gives him an exact answer he likes, saying her Yan clan is considered the most powerful clan around. Excitedly, he asks how high she can jump without getting hurt. The lady confidently steps forward, pointing to the 4th floor of the building, saying she can jump from there without a scratch. This revelation leaves the guy's eyes practically popping out of their sockets. He then gets even more excited, eager to see all the fancy moves she's got under her belt. He starts spouting off a bunch of martial arts skill names he's probably picked up from video games, but it's all gibberish to her. He even asks if she knows Kung Fu and offers to learn from her eagerly. But the lady tells this enthusiastic guy to simmer down because he's past the age for learning, and even with perseverance and determination, he won't achieve much. The boy calms down and asks if these moves are like super strict or something. Lady Zhang shakes her head, saying, "It's not about being a master, just a few basic moves without all the strict rules." She then gets into position and shows him the first simple martial arts move, focusing on the waist and how to ground yourself. She explains that martial arts training takes time, building up bit by bit, day by day. He then asks if he can practice stakes and literally begs for it. She reminds him that it will take 3 years for him to learn stakes. The guy thinks that in that amount of time he could become a full-fledged army soldier, so he gives up on martial arts and asks her to teach him sword techniques instead. The lady brings him back to reality once again, saying he's also past the time to perfect his reflexes because his eyes can't keep up with his hands right now. Finally, he throws his idea of becoming a warrior into the dustbin and simply tells her to try on the clothes. Once she's in the bathroom, he wastes no time taking advantage of the moment. He grabs her sword and starts swinging it like he's the second coming of the ninja itself. But this loser can't keep up because the sword is way too heavy for his puny muscles. The lady finally comes out of the bathroom, and when the idiot looks at her, she's looking smoking hot in her new getup. Her clothes fit like they were made for her, and she even walks around to check if they're tight anywhere. That's when Mr. Forgetful perks up. Noticing her hair is all over the place and realizing he forgot to buy her a hairband, he tells her to tie her hair back with a band. And once she does, bam, she looks even hotter. A perfect wife material. Overcome with emotion, he starts crying, feeling bad for underestimating her intelligence just because she's from ancient times. He decides to take her for a walk tonight and promises to buy her a proper hair tie while back at home. As dusk arrives, the girl takes a peek outside her room and sees the boy sitting at the desk. She comes out and asks what he's doing. He tries to explain computers to her, like how you can trash talk everyone in the crazy lobbies of Call of Duty, and warns her to steer clear of 4chan if she wants to keep her sanity intact. The boy then asks if she's having fun reading books. She admits that most things are flying right over her head, but she's slowly learning. The dude tells her to take it easy, reassuring her there's no rush, and reminds her she's already brave and smart. He jokes that if he were in her shoes, he'd probably be a lost cause. Lady Zhang looks at our hero warmly, cheeks turning tomato red. While he's chilling at his desk, the lady sneaks up behind him again and asks if he doesn't have to work. He shrugs, saying he's already hustling to make money in this world. But when she imagines someone making money, she doesn't picture a schlub staring at a giant screen. Our hero explains he's trying to make some quick cash online. Since she wouldn't get all the tech stuff, he suggests she start with the basics. His mind is struck with a bright idea as to how to make her familiar with some basic stuff. He asks her how strong her chief's martial arts skills are, and she replies, pretty darn strong. So the dude plays a video on his computer and asks if these guys on screen are powerful enough. The lady's eyes light up as she watches the intense fight scenes on his screen. He looks at her with the same enthusiasm and asks for her thoughts. With a timid voice, she admits these moves are something she has not seen in her life before, and just imagining fighting these characters makes her nervous enough to pray. He then pulls up another ridiculous video where a guy smashes through an entire wall with just the palm of his hand. When she sees this, she's absolutely terrified out of her mind, trembling as our idiotic hero eagerly asks what she thinks of the video. With a pale face and a voice tinged with fear, she asks if everyone here possesses that kind of magnificent power. Quick to correct her, he reassures her it's all fictional and none of it is real. This just makes the lady angrier, demanding to know if he's telling the truth. The dude confirms, saying once again that the kung fu she just saw was all bullcrap. He then explains to her that in this world, people create things based on their imaginations. For example, the martial arts he showed her is what people here believe it to be, even though everything is blown out of proportion. Looks like Lady Zhang is starting to grasp all these concepts. He reassures her that with time, she'll totally understand about arts and movies. Shuing then finally asks his original question if her chief's kung fu is better than what she has seen so far. Well, she reluctantly admits it's not. He then asks about flying techniques. She confirms they exist, but most folks specialize in just one. She points out how unrealistic those movie stunts are because physical strength only goes so far. The boy thinks for a moment, pulls up another video, and asks if she can do that move. She mulls it over for a moment, stands up from her seat, and starts swinging her hands super fast, moving like a blur. Shu Qing is totally thrilled to see her nail the technique and excitedly tells her she's got it. She tells him to hit her up anytime he wants to learn it, promising to teach him. With those words, she heads out, leaving my guy doing a little happy dance, probably dreaming of becoming a warrior someday. As she walks to her room, she notices a fat cat in her way, but she ignores the little furball and simply shuts the door in the poor cat's face. Once inside her room, she lets out a sigh in fear, realizing there's actually no one in this world without ulterior motives after all. And the reason our hero is helping her is to learn some martial arts. This new world is really scaring her. All these weird things do not make any sense. But then she glances up at the wide ceiling, grabs her sword, and starts practicing. The noise from her room makes our hero curious if she's not going to take a nap. Feeling tired, he also drops down on his bed, finding it unbelievable that there's a woman right next to his room. The thought makes him really happy though, and he falls asleep with those sweet thoughts lingering in his mind. Suddenly, he is jolted awake by heavy voices. He looks outside to see dusk arriving, checks his phone, and realizes he spent the entire day sleeping. He immediately gets up and decides to take Lady Zhang with him to show her the real world outside. As she puts on her shoes, he advises her on the dos and don'ts in public areas, insisting she not do anything without his permission. After laying out all the rules, he asks if she understands everything, to which she meekly replies, yes. He also doesn't forget to take a photo of her before they head out. However, in the photo, her pretty face looks more like a molester who is looking forward to grabbing some peachy ass in the streets. The boy asks her to give him a smile, but her forced grin is even worse than her usual expression, and he nearly faints seeing it. He abandons the picture idea and decides they should just get going. But before they head out, he tells her to leave her sword behind because he doesn't want any trouble. Lady Zhang immediately refuses, but the boy reassures her that the people on the streets are as weak as he is, so she doesn't need to worry about anyone. The lady reluctantly gives up her sword. While she's standing there, he tries to snap another picture of her. This time, he manages to get a really good shot and cheerfully says, let's get going. Once they step out of the apartment building, The girl starts looking around anxiously. Our hero explains that this is a neighborhood where families live. He points out the main entrance and the road outside and mentions the stores on both sides where people can buy food, clothes, or whatever they need. Lady Jong gets intimidated seeing a guy on a scooter, probably thinking it's some kind of magical ride. As they walk on, they notice some people. A fat woman immediately recognizes Lady Jong for some reason. The girl hides behind the guy while the woman insists she's seen her before. Meanwhile, a guard asks if our hero has snagged a girlfriend for himself, but the boy just laughs it off and says she's just a friend. But it seems this fat lady isn't letting up. She immediately recognizes Lady Jiang as the sword-wielding woman from yesterday.